Chapter 7. Burning Away Self-Deception. 9 divine bodies were tangled much like the tree branches that were woven between the air and the earth. As above, so below was right. And even the cats snuggled in between us when I noticed the preacher had arrived. Looking up, I saw the preacher rekindled the fire, and it looked like something was burning. I wonder if he's making food for us. Oh, how sweet of him. Bianca, look. I pointed and nudged her. You really have control over these men, don't you? Is that breakfast he's making? She rubbed her eyes before she jumped to her feet. Stop that at once, ordered Bianca. It wasn't food he was cooking. Rather, he was emptying all the quality drugs into the fire. Pills burned, bottles emptied, and all the substances roasted away. Not the drugs, yelled Bianca. The girls jumped up to their feet while our entire supply of uppers, downers, and everything in between disappeared into the fire. The preacher picked up a large white brick wrapped in plastic and tossed it into the flames. How could you? Asked Bianca. We are burning away self-deception, said the preacher. No, you're burning away altered states of consciousness. Are you mad? Said Bianca. She leapt at the bag and grabbed a large green brick of flower buds that she tossed back toward us girls. I caught it and handed it to Merope. You don't understand. There's no time for intoxicants and altered states, said the preacher. Good Lord, we're stranded in a forest. This is the perfect time for that, yelled Bianca. Things are changing faster than I expected. Last night I spoke with the community, then with the guards, and... The preacher paused. Amokli is dead. Bianca's jaw dropped. I fell to my knees. How? I begged. He died with the fire. There were soldiers inside the pyramid and they saw it happen. Rumor has it that Evil took Amokli down to the 6th floor to review the contracts after the king died, and a soldier said that Amokli started a spark with 2 flint rocks that set all the contracts ever signed on fire. Not a single contract survived. That's why the pyramid changed, said the preacher. Oh my goddess, the contracts. That's all the karma. What does that mean, Mr. Preacher? What did Evil say? Said Bianca. No one knows because no one has seen Evil. The soldier said Amokli and Evil were locked inside. Word has it that neither of them survived, said the preacher. How could Evil die? That's impossible, isn't it? Evil is the... Bianca paused. Yes, our link, added the preacher. I know. And it's very chaotic over by the pyramid. Things are only getting worse. The soldiers formed an army. Plenty of laborers have already died. But I managed to get some supplies, and this is all I found. Amokli started that fire, I asked. The preacher nodded. Tears welled in my eyes as goosebumps ran down my arm. I thought of the vision from the ritual just yesterday, and I could picture the moment I saw Amokli rise up to slice off one of the serpent's 7 heads. And there's more, said the preacher. Ditto escaped. Ditto, exclaimed Bianca. He's free. Where? No one knows, but the soldiers installed a rope ladder up into the pyramid. They checked everywhere, all the way up to the king's room, and only the king's chamber is left. But the bars are gone. Holy shit! Ditto's got the powers, doesn't he? He could restore cosmic order, asked Bianca. He might, but I don't know what condition he's in, said the preacher. What's going on? What does all this mean? Asked Maya. The preacher paced with his hands on his chin when Bianca jumped in. If Evil died, she paused, well, that means the power of the cosmic lands automatically shifts. Whoever was next in line, whosever energy was tied closest to the cosmic realm, well, they'd receive control over everything. There would be a new ruler, said Bianca. If what the soldiers told me is true, then she's right, but it goes deeper than just a new king. That also means there is a new royal court, with new royal subjects. All positions of power would transfer. The people may follow the generals for now, but the real king is among us, and she or he holds the fate of the world in their hands, said the preacher. But how could Evil be gone? He'd never depart unless a transition was coming. I wonder if Evil was onto something. Why else would he lead Amokli to the contracts? Did he see it coming? Said Bianca. Maybe. And if Ditto is indeed the new king, then we must trust him. I know you girls had your concerns about him, but I was with him when we escaped all those years ago. He's a good man. He's just a little mischievous from time to time, said the preacher. He's a man of chaos, said Sterope. He almost started a mutiny in the pyramid. You remember what happened back then. Everything he touches, he destroys. How could we trust him? What you call destruction is what I know as recreation. Ditto transmutes whatever he touches, and it is all done out of fierce grace. He does it to awaken our souls to a higher plane, said the preacher. But Bianca has control, I interjected. You said a sorceress has control over the men, so we're fine, right? Not all men. She can't control holy men. It's impossible to govern the ones who have no desires, said Celino. We only have control over the men who can be swayed and distracted by a fantasy, but men who have trained their minds, well, our powers don't work on them. I looked down at the fire of drugs burning away, and now I understood that Bianca had no control over the preacher either. He too was a man who had tamed his own desires long ago. He was a man of pure and simple kindness. And I have something else to tell you, said Bianca to the preacher. I have reason to believe the beast has been awakened. Why is that? Asked the preacher. Because Jane stumbled upon it during a ritual last night, said Bianca. Oh my! Then the devil will be back soon, said the preacher. No one answered, and so Bianca walked towards the green brick of flower buds she spared from the fire. Her hands reached into the bag of quality drugs and pulled out a stack of money. King Burns III's picture was on the $100 bills, while she released them into the fire where his portrait burned away. The new king has come, and so he must also answer the call. However you think you are connected, whatever you believe you are called to do, now is the time that we need you more than ever, said Bianca. So what happens? I asked the group. We need to go back within the subconscious, and we need to go fast. We've got some digging to do. Bianca paused. And you're coming too, Mr. Holy One.